Okay, we're live.
Good to go?
Good to go.
All right, let's do it.
So, to my left is David Serrell, and in
Hey, guys.
front of me is Spencer Berke.
What's up, guys? All the cameras. Hello, hello.
Thanks for coming, Spencer.
Of course. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Cool. Long way from Orange County.
Wasn't too bad. Typical drive from Orange County to LA. Traffic and everything, and having my car, especially with these roads, is terrible. It's rough.
So, for anyone watching that might not know who you are, tell us a little about yourself.
So my name is Spencer Berke, and I'm a business owner, photographer, social media marketer, and YouTube vlogger. I've stepped into like 10 different things in my lifetime, just everything from digital marketing to cars, automotive community. And now I strictly focus on just social media. So I make a lot of YouTube videos. I do a lot of social media management for companies and focus mostly on just working from my phone full time now.
Cool. That's actually how you and I met.
Yeah.
I first became aware of you a couple of years ago from your videos when you were selling cars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I happened to see when you said you're offering your services.
Yeah, that worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
I remember it really well. Yeah, because I was working for a dealership, and I say this a lot in my videos. I always say, you know, whose dream are you really building?
Mm-hmm.
And I was working for somebody else, and it was like, it wasn't too bad. I had fun doing it, but I wanted to build my own empire.
Mm-hmm.
So offering what I'm great at to the public, I could have endless clients, not just one person.
Kind of take me through the process of like, where did it start? Where was the very beginning of the, I guess, YouTube, or before that? Where was the journey?
You know, when I was about 14 years old, my father passed away when I was living in Michigan, and my mom had a sister out here, my aunt, that invited us to come out here to kind of stay in San Diego, get fresh air, get away from the snow. And, you know, Michigan was a little bit depressing with rain and cold weather, so the sun definitely helped that. So we moved out here. Some things happened where the whole connection with my family kind of went completely off a cliff, and my mom and I ended up being homeless for a little bit. So we're in downtown San Diego, homeless, nowhere to go. My mom somehow found a way to get a job as an apartment manager, so we had somewhere free to stay, but we didn't end up having any money for food. So I remember I had a camera that my mom gave me for Christmas one year, and I was like, I'm going to go take photos of like the sunset and the beaches and stuff like that. As soon as I started doing that, like all the depression went away, taking photos of the beach, of flowers, of everything you could imagine that I could go to. And then one day I was driving with my mom in La Jolla, and I saw a lotus symbol on the side of a building. Nice. I'm like, oh shit, I know that from my game Need for Speed. So I had her pull over. I remember that was the first time I cried since my dad passed away, because I saw a Bugatti in person. I saw it in a window, and I was like, holy shit. So I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to work here one day. So fast forward 4 years from 14 to 18, I went in there every day and just said, hey, I like taking photos. If you ever need someone to help you with photos, let me know. Sure enough, when I was 18, they said they needed a receptionist that could work there and kind of work up from that. Mm-hmm. So as soon as they said that, I was like, I'm done with school, dropped out, started working there, and then it took off from that point. So that was the beginning.
So you were photographing cars for them, exotic cars?
Yeah, so what I had done is they were a Bugatti, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and Lamborghini dealership, and at the time they were Lotus as well, and Celine. And I started as just a receptionist, so getting coffee for customers, doing like the bitch work pretty much. And then they had two guys that were like 50 and 60 or something, and they were the photographers. And an 18-year-old kid coming in, those guys ended up getting fired, and I took over their position as a photographer because I could do multi things. I could do the phones and take photos, because photos only took an hour a day.
Right.
So I wasn't old enough to be on the insurance plan, so all the sales guys had to drive me to do all the photo shoots, and then it kind of went from there. And then after about a year or two of working there, Lamborghini Newport Beach found out who I was, and they offered me a job as a full-time social media marketer and photographer. So I realized, I was like, I don't want to answer phones anymore. I just want to do photography. So I took that job. And then...
So at that point, had you been using YouTube and Instagram?
At that point, I was using Zynga and MySpace.
Okay.
So I used MySpace. I had my own photography page.
Just for your personal stuff. Had you done it for the dealer as well?
The dealership, I was only doing their website. So I'd shoot all their cars and put them on eBay and AutoTrader. Mm-hmm. And then I said, you guys need a MySpace. And then as soon as I quit, when I went to Lambo Newport, Instagram came out. And then I started using Instagram like the week that it came out.
Nice. Mm-hmm. And what was the thought at the time? Just put your photography out there? Or was it business, like, did it just kind of happen? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, when I was in high school, I always kind of had a camera on me, so people would call me that photographer. Oh, nice. That's how I got the name. It's That Photographer. And then it stuck. So I started Instagram, That Photographer. And I was like, this is kind of cool sharing. Like, I get to ride in Veyrons every day and all these different cars. So it's cool to let people know in Michigan what I'm doing because I'm proud of it. And same with my friends in San Diego. So that was just the beginning of social media. But I saw a part of it where even people who wanted to see those cars that could buy them, that could be a good advertising revenue too. I just saw it from the beginning. Yeah, but cool. I utilized it, and I bounced back and forth a little bit. My old boss at the Lamborghini dealership in San Diego, he offered me 8 different times a job offer to come back because he loved what I was doing, and he saw Lambo Newport was blowing up because I started all their social media from scratch. So all the stuff you see, I started from the beginning. And one day I was like, this is the money I want. I want to wear a polo shirt, not a dress shirt. And I want to be able to come back on my own terms. He's like, done, let's do it. So I moved back from there. And it was tough because I guess I'll just break it all down for you. I had an opportunity to come back to San Diego. So I went back. A year and a half goes by and something really sketchy happened, which I don't talk too much about because I have a lot of respect for my old boss because he gave me the opportunity. But they ended up selling the dealership to somebody else. So a year went by and they finally closed on a deal and it became O'Gara Coach La Jolla instead of Symbolic Motors. And then all my friends started quitting. People that were there for 10, 15, 20 years, they started quitting. And I was just like, okay, I'm driving these cars, but I come back to work and I don't have any friends to hang out with. It's all these corporate people that are looked at as numbers, not family, because they'll pay them lower salaries because they can profit more. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but sure enough, after 32 people quit out of 35, I was the last 3. And I just said, I'm done. I don't want to do this. So at that point, like the hardest part for me was being on YouTube. I had used YouTube to show my life as a photographer, and I built, 80,000 subscribers in less than a year. And, for me, that was a lot. And all these people were expecting me to have this career of showing cars, showing all these things. But then one day I was like, I don't like it here anymore. So perception from people were like, you're living the dream life. I'm like, you have no idea what happens behind closed doors when there's corporate involved and all this bullshit that I hated. Right. So I said, I'm going to take control of it. So I'm confident with saying that I know I'm good at what I do.
So that was your move to your own business, which is social media marketing now for other car dealers, as well as just a variety of businesses, right?
I realized I had a lot of talent with content management and content creation. So that goes out to video, photos, Instagram management, social media management. I knew I could do it for anybody. Yeah. So at the time, my good friend offered me a job in Newport Beach doing wholesale. And my dream is to buy O'Gara Coach La Jolla. So I'm trying to save $20 million. That's a goal. That's the biggest goal I have right now. And one of my friends who left there, he started his own dealership and he invited me to come do wholesale. So I knew how to be a receptionist. I knew how to get coffee for customers. I knew how to do finance deals because I sold cars. I knew how to take photos. I knew how to do marketing. The last thing I needed to learn was wholesale so I could have it on dealership and know everything. So I spent a year buying and selling LaFerraris, P1s, 918s, multi-million-dollar deals. I was making a lot of money at the time. And the same thing happened where I was looking at like, whose dream am I building? I spent a year doing that and I learned it. So now one day I woke up and I was like, I'm never going to be ready. I said, fuck it, I'm done. So I quit. Right. And I knew quitting would force me to learn what I have to learn to make money and to expand my own business. And that's when I took control of everything.
So were you worried at all that you wouldn't have the cars around? I mean, obviously you won't have the cars around anymore.
Yeah.
You're that photographer without the cars. But you've probably made a ton of connections at this point to see cars, or they're pretty much all through the dealer?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I was so limited to one dealership that if I became Spencer Berke, not someone who works at a dealership, but I came out an independent name, that dealerships and people would give me cars to work with, and I could visit any dealership without any conflict of interest with my full-time job. Right. So like I signed with Honda last year. I signed with Kia yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm doing some stuff with them. And then, I mean,
how many in your portfolio?
What's that?
How many clients do you have?
Right now, I manage 21 different accounts. And then I had potential to do about 40. And I've moved back and forth where about 10 of them, like, I don't know if you've seen or some people may notice, but I filmed at multiple locations on YouTube and I stopped filming there. And some people are like, what happened? My goal was to quit every job where I had to be somewhere. So some people wanted me to do content creation where I'd have to physically go take photos. Right. I'd rather be able to say I'm going to Hawaii for a month to work from there and not have to be anywhere. So I left a
Right.
lot of jobs
Well,
where I had to
and that's
physically
setting
be.
up your business to make sense for your lifestyle.
Yeah,
what
and
you
then
want, what you want.
I always tell my mom this too, because she's going through a lot right now, and I tell her that, you know, if you're spending even 5 more seconds of your life not doing what you want to do, what's the point?
Right.
And I always tell myself that, like, if there's one thing where I'm like, I don't like what I'm doing, I say, I got to change this right away.
Right.
And that's what I live by now, full time.
Definitely.
You have to live that way.
This is the era.
Yeah.
We can all live how we want to live. Sort
of. Somewhat.
of.
Yeah.
So I always like that about, you know, from when you first started doing the online marketing, that you seemed to always kind of limit how many clients you were going to take, or you at least manage that to, you know, not go overboard, I guess, to the point where it doesn't seem like clients suffer. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people grow too quickly, and then the quality goes down. I feel like you've definitely made an effort to make sure that does not happen.
That's the goal, because once I started making the same amount that I had from my dealerships, I knew that I could pay my bills, have my nice car, take care of my mom, and live comfortably. But from that point on, I just wanted to be settled in my own business, and then I can grow from that.
Right.
Because I want to hit that comfort zone. But as soon as I hit that comfort zone, I'm almost uncomfortable, because I'm like, I want to do more.
Right.
So, yeah, exactly. I want to scale the business, but at the right pace. So right now I'm just learning S Corp and LLC and taxes and stuff like that. And I feel pretty confident with it, but now it's like I have everything geared up, and I have my first intern, and I'm ready to go from 20 clients to 40.
So businesses, you have quite a few businesses.
Yeah.
You gonna be like an accountant?
No.
Oh.
No.
Let's talk about the businesses. You have Devoted Society, SB Prints, Spencer Berke Marketing. What am I missing?
That's it.
Okay.
3 companies.
So Spencer Berke Marketing, we were just talking about. Tell me about Devoted Society.
So Devoted Society started in 2012 at 2 a.m. when I was living with my friend's mom at the time. And it was just when I moved back from Newport Beach. I didn't have anywhere to stay. So
Your friend was okay with you living with his mom?
He was living there too at the same time.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, don't worry about that. But I was living with him, and one night I remember, like, that was the first time I really had, like, entrepreneurial ideas where I'm like, I want to create something of my own, because I didn't have anything at that time. I was working for someone else. And I thought to myself, well, I can start a company where it's a community of people who, like, chase their goals, because, you know, I was homeless for a bit. I dropped out of high school, but dude, I felt like I became very successful fast because I followed my dreams from an early age. So I wanted to create a community of, like, people that can relate to me. And first it was just a Facebook group, and then it grew into a clothing line, because I had YouTube, and at the time I saw some people selling t-shirts and mugs and hats, and they're doing really well with it because it helped fund their channel.
Right.
And I want to do the same thing where people could, you know, wear a shirt at the gym and feel more excited and more powerful.
Yeah.
And it helps them become more of a, you know, a positive mindset. That's what I want to bring to the table, because for me, you know, I definitely like bringing cars and entertainment, but if I bring value to somebody, that makes me feel good about myself. So I try to go after that.
I've seen Devoted Society, like people wearing Devoted Society clothes and hashtagging from all across the country. How did it spread nationwide? Obviously online, I imagine?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was all through a lot of YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
One thing I did actually, I almost got fired for it. I had my mom pick up all my inventory of all my t-shirts, and she brought them I used to organize all the cars and coffees, and I was really pissed at my job I was working at, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. So I had my mom pick up about 100 t-shirts, and she sold them out of the back of her car at my cars and coffee I organized at my job.
Nice.
And we ended up selling like $1,000 worth of t-shirts when the dealership didn't sell any of their merchandise. So I got in trouble for that, but I was actually brought up in the next meeting.
They should have you help design their merchandise.
That's what they had me do. They said, we want you to help us with what you did. I'm like, no, I'm building my own company. And that's when I started saying, I'm out of here.
Got it.
Because I just didn't want to do it. So then, obviously, with YouTube and Instagram, the company blew up overnight, and everyone was like, hey, I want to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I knew, I had Snapchats of people in New Zealand at the gym wearing a t-shirt. And I'm like, that's what I want.
Yeah,
that's what makes me happy, you know? And it's not just them wearing a shirt. It's more of like they're doing a photo shoot with a client, or they're doing something that they've worked for that represents more than just a piece of clothing.
I like the boxes especially.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
The boxes are a really nice touch.
Presentation, man.
Yeah. Cool. So what's kind of what's next for Devoted Society? I heard on your Instagram stories, I think yesterday, you mentioned that, you know, I guess you have an app coming out, you have a website coming out. Is that all under Devoted Society, or what's going on with that?
Yeah. So my idea was that with Devoted Society, the company, I wanted to be more. I've always focused on bringing value. I didn't want to just bring a t-shirt. And now Devoted Society has turned into a community where, you know, I've seen some people talk about how YouTube is really controlling people, because if you think about it, if you make a video and you put it on YouTube, they're really in control of it, whether it gets monetized, who sees it, if you come up on the trending page. So I teamed up with someone where he's doing the same thing. He's helping me with building the website, building the app and everything, where I have all my fans and clients and people that are my community that I control. It's no longer someone else that controls it. I can bring everyone from Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube to my channel, to my foundation, and I don't have to worry about anyone else having control.
Because that's a big deal. Like every social network, every website, you know, you can see as they evolve, they want to monetize and they'll change things. And, you know, like you said, they're going to have control over who sees your stuff. So it makes perfect sense if you're building a community that you're able to hold on to your community.
I mean, it's important. It's your livelihood and what holds you together, and that's what I want. So, yeah, the idea now is, you know, I want to centralize all my companies where it's all on one platform. So if you go on Devoted Society, that'll be the community where you can learn social media. So that's a huge thing I'm working on, is that the 7 years I was a professional photographer, that was my main thing that I did. People always said, how do I become a photographer? And I made like a course that was free and you could look at it. And I went to the dealership 4 days a week and introduced myself, and I met everyone. And, you know, I told the whole thing I did. And then now the crazy thing is that people from 14 years old to 70, they say, how do I get the freedom that you have? Because I created a company where I can work from anywhere in the world, and it's something anyone can do, but not many people know how to do it. So I'm teaching that at a price that people can afford, because a lot of people charge $700 for a course or $5,000 for a course.
Right.
You know, mine's $23 a month. It's a subscription.
When's it going to be available?
December 31st on my birthday.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where do you go? Devoted Society?
Yeah, so you can download it on the App Store for Android or for iPhone, and it's just Devoted Society, or it's web-based too, so you go on your computer and do it as well.
Cool. Can't wait to see that.
I'm excited for it.
That's super cool. What would you say, like, you know, you said people want to know how to live that lifestyle. What would you say? Give us a couple free pointers, a little taste of the 23.
Yeah, I think the best thing I can say is that, you know, if you can find something that really makes you happy, you have to find a way to get a career around that. Because if you're going to spend your time working, if you're spending 8 to 9 hours a day somewhere, you should make sure that you really love what you're doing. And then, like I said before, if you spend 5 seconds of your life doing something you don't want to do, you should really question that and find a way around that.
So just go for it. Figure out what you want to do and go for it.
Well, the thing is, I always say is do it logically, because I had a few bucks saved up a little bit to get me through about a month. And then I was like, oh shit, I need to make money. So it forces you. But I think if you have a plan where you know you're good at something and you believe in yourself, then there's no reason why you shouldn't try it.
Well, I think something to be pointed out is, you know, you mentioned building your own dream. It kind of sounds like it worked out well to while you were building maybe a car dealer owner's dream, it was also having that benefit to you where you were building your social media following, which then kind of springboarded you to your own dream. So, you know, I think like one of the things that, you know, if you're thinking about making the move to your own business and maybe quitting your job, is seeing if you can do both at the same time, get the ball rolling. Because if you quit your job and you have zero following, you're going to be probably in a different position if your goal is to do social media marketing. If your goal is to do photography and you don't own a camera yet and you're going to stop your job before you own the camera, I suggest doing them both side by side. So I think that's where that hustle comes in. Sure. And I think a lot of people already have that going for them, and it's just a matter of making the move. A lot of people are, you know, on weekends making, you know, woodwork in the garage that's incredible, and then during the week hating their job, and they could definitely just be doing that or whatever it is.
Well, I think one of the things I had learned is that I owe a lot to this guy, Nick Jones. He's now the general manager of McLaren Newport Beach, and he's like probably the #1 sales guy in the world for McLaren. He had a desk that was at the dealership I worked at when I was 18 that was across the showroom. So what I had done is I told myself to be a sponge, just listen and learn as much as I could, whether it was a sales point. And even the coolest thing about what he was doing is when I would watch him greet customers, I would learn that like one of the biggest things for me is a firm handshake and eye contact. That's my biggest thing, because that sets your first example. So I learned that from watching him, and that set a foundation for the rest of my life.
So I think that goes to say something too about like if you're in a job you don't like, try to maybe make the best of it if you're going to stay there. I mean, you should maybe move to another job or your own business. But if you're there, there's always things to pick up when you're actually putting effort, when you're aware, when you're analyzing and so on. Even if if you think your boss is doing a bad job, if you really analyze why he's not doing a good job, it puts you in a position to do a good job and maybe change your reality a little bit.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
You know?
I think that if you're at a place where, you can learn and you can benefit from what people are doing around you, just listen. And if not, like I remember when I had Devoted Society, I would work 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 at my dealership that I worked at. And then I come home, and from 7 p.m. till 2 a.m., I would fulfill orders. I would do advertising. I would watch videos on how to do Facebook advertising. I would watch how to do affiliate marketing. I would try to get on Amazon. I mean, I learned every aspect of what I had to do. And the thing is, though, is you can talk all you want and you can say all these things, but execution is where it's at. Right. So I've always just tried to, I'll keep my head down and learn, and then execute when I can and learn from that. And the thing is too, is that like, I've made plenty of mistakes that I just think I've learned from. Right. That if I didn't start those 5 or 6 companies when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, that if I wouldn't learn as much as I would now, because all the mistakes I made from those businesses, I know what not to do next time. Right. To my next company. Right. So when the hardest thing too is, it's kind of funny. I watched a documentary on Justin Bieber, and he said it perfectly. He said he's 18 or 19, wherever he is at the time, and he made a bunch of mistakes going to clubs, getting drunk, doing crazy shit. Millions of people were watching him. Every kid in the world does that. Like, I went out and party when I was 18. I went out and I experimented with drugs. I went out when I drank, and I got in trouble. I was in the back of cop cars a few times. I know how it goes, but I had my mom watching and 3 of my friends. I didn't have millions of people watching. So when I built my database, that if I started a company and it didn't work, I had 40,000 people that were like, what the hell is this guy doing? So that was something that I almost felt like there was a lot of pressure on my back. So I learned to be quiet. I learned to stay quiet until something was perfected or felt like it was perfected, and then bring it to the community. Right. Well,
hopefully, I mean, the way I look at it personally is, nobody else is going to live your life for you, and nor would you want that. So it's your life, and do whatever you want. And if somebody has an opinion, that opinion doesn't matter any more than the crazy person yelling things out in the street. Yeah. If they're both humans saying things making noises with their mouth, that should not affect your life. You know what I mean?
No, and I think if people have opinions, that it's okay to listen to advice and, let it be surface tension or surface listening, but I think it should never change the path of your future.
I mean, never shape it. It depends what the advice is. Yeah. I think, it just depends where and who it's coming from. And the whole idea is you want to figure out what's good knowledge, what's bad knowledge, what are good thoughts, what are bad thoughts, and you're just constantly trying to judge that. Where's it coming from?
Is it coming from a good source, or is it coming from some idiot? That's the problem. You have to figure out I had an experience where I did the podcast with Alejandro, and I was with about 4 of his friends, and Farshad told me something where I was feeling like all my stuff that I was doing, I was so lost, I was so confused, and he really was like, dude, you need to realize that everything you've done the past 7 years is shaping who you are today. It's never a mistake. It's never a problem. It's shaping and learning to what you're going to do next. Because I felt really guilty for a while. I was like, I have 4 different companies. Someone's doing this. I don't know what to do. So he was like, dude, all the things you've done in the past is building who you are today. And it hit me pretty hard. I was like, that's a good source coming from. That's a good piece of advice I'll absorb and listen to.
And that's why it's important to always be learning, because always be trying to learn and evolve, because if not, if your life is repetition, I think it's a waste and boring.
Mm-hmm. I think I heard a camera.
It's back, I think. Anyway, so last business that we were talking about, that's SB Prints, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me more about SB Prints.
So my whole idea was to have, I think, are we good? The battery? Having a little technical difficulties. Is that one still running? That one clicked too. This is our first run, so bear with us.
I'm back on. I think we're good.
Sorry about that.
Cool. So SB Prints.
Yeah, so when I had my photography business, I realized that a lot of my clients that I was doing private photo shoots for, they wanted photos in their garage. They wanted photos hung up in their house of their cars because it's a nice reminder. So I always wanted to be the person that would supply that. I didn't want to go to 3 different people or a third party. So I wanted to find my way to make that where the first phase of the company was to sell my photography. So if I took a photo of a cool Bugatti at my dealership, I could utilize that car that I had access to, and being in La Jolla, the locations, take all these awesome photos that people would buy and I could make money off of to make my own business. So I grew from that. And then basically phase 2 was to allow people to upload their own photos and do the same service I do at a wholesale cost, where you go to Target or Walmart, or you go to someone online and it's like $50 for a small poster. You know, with what we do, you can get a huge poster for $35, no problem, for anyone to do that. Then the third phase that we're working on now is where people can go on a website, SB Prints, and they can sign up and make their own store where they can have a link to send to their customers of their own photos, and they can buy them. They can choose sizing and material and everything like that.
Super
So
cool.
that'll be phase 3.
Nice. So that's being worked on?
Yeah, so that'll be worked on mid-time next year. I've realized I'm trying to put everything centralized. I think that with SB Prints being organized now and Devoted Society being legitimate now, that I have a clear mindset. Because before I'm just like, what do I do? I have so many things going on. And now I have all my whiteboards. Everything's organized. I know how to do it. I have a CPA. I have an accountant. I'm like, okay, I'm good to go now.
Cool.
Because before it was just all on me. I'm like, I don't know, this
Right.
is too much. So now I feel a lot better with it, streamlined.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I actually have something. David, can you grab it real quick? The wires. We're still good over here? Cool.
Uh-oh, I'll see what this is. Is it gonna bite? Is it gonna bite me?
Not alive. So
What is this?
I figured, since, in front of your desk you have that Lamborghini. A
Yeah.
lot of people talk about the Lamborghini.
Uh-huh.
I figured we could print some Lamborghinis. And if people are going to learn marketing from you,
What?
they can also, So I figured we could give these out.
That's so cool, dude. I love this thing. It's so
And,
crazy because I get so many compliments on this because I always have it behind my desk.
I feel like that anybody who signs up for, like the first people who sign up, I don't know, the first 100 or something should get a banner.
You know, what'd be cool is if we did the first first 25 people, I'll personally call them and talk to them.
Yeah,
say,
no,
hey,
you
what's going on? How are you? That kind of thing.
Definitely.
I would love to do that.
I'll talk to everybody. Forever.
Call like 900 people.
Yep.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is really cool.
So we'll definitely make more of these
Okay.
and figure it out from there. We should give these things away.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Everybody can be inside a Lamborghini. Just for a few
Well, I'd like that. I want to definitely get the big ones on the store too.
So a big part of your photography, I think, is your car,
Yes.
your M3.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about your M3.
So I was 16 years old. I failed my driver's test because I didn't look in an alleyway, and I was all pissed off and mad. Thankfully, a month later, I passed the test, and I looked in the stupid alleyway, and I passed my test. But I had at the time, I was driving a truck that my mom had, and I remember going on Craigslist, and I'm like, I want my own car. I want my own car. So I had some money saved up from working at the dealership, and I think it was a little bit before that. I think I actually had money saved up from my photography, from doing private photo shoots. I only had, $2,000 for a car, so I'm looking for things with like 100,000 miles, no AC, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I found a Ford Focus I really wanted.
What year?
It was
I had a Ford Focus.
I had a little hatchback.
Yeah,
an
the
old one.
ZX3.
Yeah, I wanted
exactly.
one. I found one.
I
that
got
was
one.
like $2,000. Really?
I got a brand new one.
Oh shit!
I was in high school. Nobody could
Dang.
understand me. I had a yellow one, and I got it. I had this piece of shit 1991 Honda Civic Si, and I got it the summer before. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
But
I want to
the
hear this. I'm
summer,
curious now.
So my birthday's in September.
Okay.
So the summer before my birthday, this was now. Well, it wasn't really related to my birthday, I guess, but basically over the summer, I really got into cars. I was on clubsi.com, and I was just,
I
really
know
in
that
my own
website.
world.
Yeah.
And I got this 1991 Honda Civic Si hatchback, and they sold this giant wing that you take the little wing off the back, and then this wing would go like over the roof and like
God.
around. So it was like the double decker, but like fiberglass. But you're talking about like, this was like 2000. This was before the Fast and the Furious. So like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? This was like before that movie, probably by 2 years. So
Yeah.
2 or 3 years. So anyway, I put this thing on my car. I didn't paint it, mind you.
What color was it?
It was white, and white fiberglass.
On
The
a
car
yellow
was
car?
red.
Oh my.
The car was red. No, it was the Civic Si. So anyway, I went to school, and like, I just remember like the first few days, like somebody was like, "Oh, that's your car." Like people had been talking about it. Like teachers and students had been like, "Whose fucking
Oh
car
my
is in the
God.
parking lot with that hideous wing?" So anyway, fast forward to the next year, I was able to save some money up, and with the help of my parents, I was able to get a brand new 2001 at the time, a Honda Civic or Ford Focus ZX3. It was like right when they came out.
Yeah.
And I got yellow, stick shift, 5-speed. I got yellow. And then I went back to school, and it was just fucking the whole thing over again. It was
Oh
like, what
my
the
God.
fuck is that
Everyone's like-
yellow space egg you're driving in the school?
That's awesome.
So anyway,
That's hilarious,
so you
man.
didn't get the Focus, I presume?
No, so I didn't buy the Focus. It didn't work out, but I ended up finding a 1988 BMW 325i. It was blue.
Cool.
And it was in a local neighborhood by my house. And I called the guy, and I'm like, I want to come check it out. So odometer didn't work, no AC. It was old. It had like racing seats in it. The springs were cut. The thing was slammed on Japanese wheels. And I'm like, this is really cool. It has some character to it. So I bought the car. I paid like 2 G's for it. Sure enough, going into like the first week, both my taillights were out. I didn't know for the first 2 weeks. And then I had a fuel pump went out. And then every other week it was something. So sure enough, I kept putting more of my money into it.
Were you fixing them yourself or taking it somewhere?
So I had 3 friends that all had E30s in high school. So our auto shop class, we had 3 E30s. We're all best friends because we had the same car.
That was beneficial.
Yeah, so we all knew the cars really well. So of course I was on Rev Limited and E30 forums and E9 or E30 Post, all the forums online looking at parts, and I'd see all this stuff for sale. So I bought like Sparco seats. I bought a roll cage. I did. We did a built motor M20. We did everything to it. I did like 275 cams in it, and it would idle like a Corvette, so super deep sound. I love the thing, and I made a lot of YouTube videos with it, and I kind of got known for having that car.
Are they're still on your channel?
All still out there. My roommate
Nice.
Gibbs, my best friend from 14, he has a video with like 80,000 views, and it's me just revving my car for 12 seconds.
Chump car.
Yeah, I was like, all right, that's fine. So I didn't know how many miles the car had. I'm assuming 200,000, but we rebuilt everything, and this is where that relates to my current M3. It was a blue car, had black interior, silver wheels, and I was like, I really want the V8 version of this car, but a newer one in the M3. So I spent 4 years looking for this exact car. Had to be a 2011 because the taillights were different from 09. It had to be a slick top, so I had to have no sunroof. Had to be Interlagos blue, not Le Mans blue. Had to have all black interior, not Dove, not Cinnamon, not inserts, and it had to be 6-speed manual. So 4-door, all those included. I guess I found out they made 7 in the world in that spec. So I was like, I'm never gonna find one. So sure enough, after a few years went by on YouTube, I had sold 5 new Lamborghinis just from my YouTube channel.
Wow.
So I sold them to a bunch of fitness guys. I reached out to all the fitness people. I sold it to a guy in Connecticut that followed me on YouTube. All these people bought cars from me. I made the most money I'd ever made in 1 month. So I'm like, I'm gonna treat myself. So sure enough, like the day after I got my paycheck, I found a 2011 E90 M3 with everything I wanted, and it was blue with silver wheels. So I called them. I'm like, I'm calling my bank right now. I don't need to see the car. I'll send you the money tomorrow. So I got approved that night, and I sent him the check, and then the car got shipped to me a week later. And then I got the car, and then ever since then, it's just been like, and I made a video called I Bought My Dream Car.
I saw it.
Yeah, it's at almost 500,000 views, I think.
Yeah.
And that's how now I have like maybe 300 M3 owners that follow me, and we talk, every few weeks. We have a group we talk through, and
Nice.
it's created a really fun environment for me, and it makes me happy every day. And some people, like in the video, you see me walking by Veyrons and Lamborghinis and all these things, and I'm like, my 50,000 mile older M3 is here, and I'm like almost crying. And people were like, damn, that guy really has a passion for cars, because I really do.
Yeah.
And I've driven everything out there, every supercar, hypercar, and that M3 it's mine. It makes me so happy. Because I worked for it.
What do you like better, the orange or the blue?
I like the orange.
Yeah.
I wanted the blue because it would match my E30, and it would be like I did it. I made the dream come true. But the orange for me is just like, I like being different and bold. And
oh, it's bold. You hear the damn thing a mile away.
Yeah.
10 minutes. I'm like, where the hell is this car coming from?
We heard you from Irvine.
Yeah.
What kind of exhaust do you have on there?
It's an IPE F1, and I have the Valvetronic. So in the mornings when I leave for the gym, I can have it closed and it's quiet, and then you open it up and it's just brutal.
Nice.
I can only describe it as being violent because it's so damn loud.
What do you have your heart set on? Has your heart like wandered to another car?
You know what's funny, man? I really want a 4x4 squared.
Oh,
Mercedes.
Yeah. That's not funny. I mean,
that's what I really want.
I
really
sure.
want one of those now.
Super nice, super cool.
Well,
you saw the one RDB was chopping up?
Yeah.
That's
thing's
pretty
nuts,
crazy.
dude.
Chopped the back off of it. Like cut the back, like
It's
kind of
like
like the
a
Landaulet, like the
Safari edition kind
Yeah,
of
there it
thing.
is.
Extended? Oh, really?
No, he just got rid
Just
of the
like
whole
open.
back, and it's like a soft top on
and
the
it's
back.
like a chrome
Chrome
neon,
green or
yeah.
something.
Super sick.
But I mean, realistic.
So what are you thinking?
Realistically, right now, I really want to spend 2018 investing my money in my company. So getting a full-time employee to help me, getting more involved with daily videos, getting back to the groove of where I wanted to be, and then that's when I can make the decision next year for like hopefully like a Gallardo, some kind of Lambo, or maybe even a Huracan.
Right.
Because it's tough because I don't want to spend money on cars, but I do because it benefits my channel.
Exactly.
You know?
It's not. I mean, if you're doing, if your content and you're building your following and everybody wins and you drive another car, there's nothing to feel guilty about.
No, definitely not. So I want to make sure I have everything in a row before I make a purchase like that.
For sure.
But I'm gonna use the hell
So what do you
out of
think? What's the car though?
What's the
One that what's the one that brings a tear to your eye 365 days from now when we sit here
I
and
would
talk
say
about it?
05 Lamborghini Gallardo stick shift, and it has to have like every option that I want: clear engine bonnet, front lift system, clean car, no crashes. I
What
know
color?
I can find one. This guy Erik, he just sold his. I wanted it so bad, but it was green.
Oh, nice.
And I made like 6 of them in manual.
Nice.
So I'm just like, I really need to find one. But I know that with patience, I'll find one.
What do you think of the new McLaren?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No,
What?
I don't like it, man.
What does that mean? What do you not like about
I think it just looks so weird. They were focused so much on performance,
Yeah.
and focused so much on having like a good track
Good
car.
arrow?
They just
Yeah.
didn't care about the looks. Like, oh, here's a fucking kit car. I'm like, what the hell did they do?
It's a supercar.
Yeah.
I mean, it
badass.
looks straight off the track.
Yeah.
I think it'll grow on me. I just think that a lot
Maybe in person when
you know what
see
happens
one.
though? This is the thing that I've noticed with companies. When they release a press car, it's always a weird ass color. Like Bentley, when they came out with the convertible Bentley, it was
Yeah.
baby blue. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And now everyone wants that color because
Yeah.
the launch color.
Yeah.
And then same with the AMG GTS.
Yeah.
They always wear the
yeah.
GTR. It's matte green.
Yeah.
So there's always weird colors they come
It's a
out
good
with.
color though.
Oh yeah, super good color. But I
Yeah.
think that with McLaren, I think maybe that car in black or maybe like a different color.
Oh my God.
The orange was just kind of confusing. I don't know.
It was so
What do you think?
I think it should be the next K-Town Destroyer. I think Ben Baller needs one. Because, I don't know, I think that thing's badass. But,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think looking at a picture, everybody can have their opinion. When you get around it, I doubt anybody cannot
I don't know.
love it.
Well, the thing is, though, is that when the 720S came out, and I think when something else came out, I didn't know what I thought about it. But then I saw them in person, I was like, okay, this is actually really cool. So I
Yeah.
think it'll grow
Right.
on me. But I think that's how most cars are.
Right.
I think the same with like how Ferrari came out with the LaFerrari, and I was like, why the fuck would you name it that? And now it's standard, and no one even like is like, what the
Ferrari,
hell?
LaFerrari,
Yeah,
right,
they're like,
I
what the hell are
know.
you doing? But now it's like, okay, it makes sense. So
Does it?
yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
I think that after a while, at first I was just like, what? And now it's
you
like, oh,
accept
it's a
it. You just get
LaFerrari.
used to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's how it'll be with that car when you see it in person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super sick, though, I
Yeah.
think. What do you think of the Mercedes? What is it, Project One? Or
I like it.
yeah.
I think it's cool.
You saw it at the LA Auto Show?
Mhm. Mhm.
Cool.
What do you think about the ZR1?
Oh, yeah.
I like Corvettes.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to have like
I love Corvettes.
I need to have an American flag with a hot dog in my mouth
my
as I'm
God.
fucking shifting
Wait,
gears whenever in a
I
Corvette.
don't like Corvettes. I don't like Corvettes anymore.
I don't mind it. You know, I like Corvettes. I've driven a few of them.
Yeah.
And they're just
So
scary.
fast.
They're scary,
Stupid
man.
fast.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary's a good word.
I like it definitely because it's definitely raw American power.
Scary like you're going to fling off the road. because
Yes, exactly.
it's Scary like it wants to rip its tires off, not grip the road.
It wants to kill you.
You point and hit the throttle.
And then
Yeah.
it
So
puts
awesome.
the ass end wherever you pointed it.
Yeah. I mean, I like them. What about you? You like them?
What? I used to have an 08.
Oh, yeah?
Beautiful.
What color?
Silver.
Okay.
Black interior.
That's nice.
It was
His heart is the shape of the Corvette flags. It's actually beating.
so, so fast. I used to love that thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a good car.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Cool.
Unbelievable the price though. The pricing increase, like just.
Well, the thing is, though, with those cars now, that when these cars come out, the amount of car you get for the price is insane. Because if you
Yeah.
think about it before, like a lot of those cars, like the McLaren SLR, those are like 500 grand. That's a lot of money.
That's a
Yeah.
beautiful car.
It's a beautiful car, though. But when you look
Yeah.
at
The
these-
technology they're packing into these cars, though.
and you look at these new
The
cars, though,
performance.
like the 675 LT. I mean, that car is $500,000, but you're getting so much for the money. And same like going back to the Corvette. I mean, MSRP is like 100 something.
Yeah. What Z06? Oh, the ZR1
Yeah,
was it 150?
something like that. I think now though, if you look at like older like C7 Corvettes, Z06,
Mhm.
like 60 grand.
No.
Yeah, the older ones.
Oh, the older.
Yeah.
C7s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you get a used one,
Yeah,
I mean that's still. I've seen videos when the 04 and 05 Gallardo first came out. They did a race between that and the current generation Corvette. The Corvette beat it. And that Corvette is 70, 80 grand. Lambo's 200 grand.
Yeah.
So these cars that they're coming out with are just so much for the money.
Yeah.
Mm.
Cool.
How you doing over there? You good? How's it looking?
Sweet,
Awesome, dude.
So, what else do you have planned for 2018? What are you thinking? So the business is in line and just head down and work?
I think I'm just going to be really, not quiet, but keep my head down and focus on my goals.
Daily vlogs?
I want to. I mean, I'm thinking that to bring more quality and not saturate what I do, I'd like to do 4 videos a week, but filming every day. So taking some clips from a Monday, put it into a Tuesday vlog.
So what do you think, like, for somebody who wants to start vlogging, and they say, well, I go to work every day, I come home, and not really, my life isn't that exciting. Should they just not vlog, or should they, what's the advice there? What if they like the idea of vlogging, but just don't know what to film?
I think the biggest thing is just executing filming, because people always say, I don't have a setup, I don't have lights, it's like, I started with a Razr flip phone. I filmed a video of a Bugatti driving away. It has 1 million views. It's about to hit 1 million. I've had it up on my channel for 11 years. And it's from a Razr flip phone.
So just start filming.
Yeah, and it's going to teach you how to develop your own style. Because if you go into a full production studio with the best camera in the world and you have no skill behind the camera, it doesn't matter if you're filming with a fucking potato or a full-blown best camera in the world. If you're not telling a good story behind the lens, no one's going to watch. Right. So if you can find a story to tell and things that you can share that people can relate to, and you're very genuine in your video, people will watch it. Even if you just talk in front of your desk. Like, my biggest thing now is I film myself in front of my desk talking for 10 minutes about positive mindset, about lifestyle, and why I quit my job. You know, even though I've only had 5,000, 6,000 views on some of the videos compared to 30 or 40,000, I get DMs from these people saying, damn, dude, that helped me a lot. And that makes me feel more valuable than just having a number that says 10,000. Right. So if you have a 9 to 5 and you don't know what to film, I would just say get a camera and just start checking it out, just filming yourself and do what you can.
See what happens.
Yeah, because you never know what can come from that. Some of my best ideas came from freestyle. Just throwing the camera in front and saying, okay, let's talk about this. And next thing I knew, I was on a topic that I felt like was really good quality. Yeah. And then you put it out online and people were like, holy shit, that helped me.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen without some action, without movement. So who are your favorite YouTubers and Instagrammers?
Right now, I watch Logan Paul every day. I watch every video he puts out. I've watched his videos since that colorblind video he put out. Yeah. And I would go through Jake Paul once in a while, but he's more of his audience is like 8 to 14-year-olds. So it's funny to watch because he went to Ferrari Newport and bought a car, and he went to these places I know. So I watch it for that. But Logan is really good with business. He's becoming like a really good businessman, and I like watching that. But that's more of entertainment. Those are some videos I watch at night. During the day, Gary Vee is always on. I watch his 2 or 3 hour videos in the background of while I work, and I absorb things that he says. So I learn a lot from him. Yep. Other than that, TJ Hunt, I watch his videos, and a few other people that I know that personally I've sold cars to, or I've done stuff with, but that's really it right now. Sometimes I'll go to the trending page and watch some of the bigger ones like Markiplier or goofy guys who make funny videos in front of the camera, but nothing.
Yeah, those are the winners, the leaders. So your main social media wise, you're mainly on Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook.
Facebook, barely. I only use it for the group that I have.
What's the name of the group?
So, it's learn about social media.
So if somebody wants to join that group, what do they need to do? Just search for it?
Yeah.
Just search in the top and...
It's just learn about social media.
Cool.
That's like, I use it for... I have my personal friends on there from Michigan, from San Diego, and from Orange County. And then I have friends that I know through the car industry that I'll talk to once in a while and just see what's up. But I don't use Facebook as much as I use Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube.
Now, do you think that could change, or do you kind of feel like the day has passed, or like, what do you think?
I think that, I applied for a Facebook Watch series.
Right, I remember.
And I'm waiting to hear back if I get approved. If I get approved, I'll stay on Facebook because they want to take, I think, away from YouTube. They want to have their own platform where they can upload videos on Facebook. And I think that with the shareability, is that a word?
Yes.
Okay. So with the shareability on Facebook, they have a huge advantage.
For sure.
I have 5,000 friends on my Facebook page and 50,000 on my fan page. If I share that, that reach is much bigger than just a YouTube video.
Especially if you're one of the first content creators on there.
100%.
The reach is huge. So
yeah, that's
you hear that, Facebook? You have an opportunity to keep Spencer Berke on your platform, or you lose him potentially forever.
That's my threat.
So are there any other platforms? Well, are there any other platforms that you're sort of using or sort of considering or looking at that you think might be something you get more into?
I think just the Facebook Watch right now, and then my own app, my own community.
Right.
That's where I want to focus like as much as I can. I'll use other platforms to get information out there, but I really want to focus on almost like a pyramid where at the top it's just my business and the rest I kind of focus on when I can or when I need to.
Keep the word pyramid in your business a little far from each other.
Yeah. Little pyramid scheme.
So Instagram, you're on Instagram and Snapchat. A lot of people don't even mess with Snapchat. Some people do. What are your thoughts on that? Why do you still use it frequently, obviously, right?
Yeah, so I use Snapchat every day. I have a out of all my platforms I've ever used, Snapchat is the most engaging platform I've ever used. You
get the best reach and
yes, I get about 100 people a day that say hi or hey, what's going on, or respond to what I say. And if I say there's a new T-shirt out and I do a swipe up link, I get the most sales from Snapchat, because every person that Snapchats me, I reply to them. Either just a quick, hey, thank you, or like a thumbs up to everybody.
It's just the ease of sending a message. I guess people, you could do that on Instagram, but I guess it's not so popular.
So Instagram, I reply to as many people as I can. It's just more time consuming.
Yeah.
With Snapchat, I can just swipe through, hey, thank you, and that's it.
And did you build your following, on Snapchat through the other social media platforms? Because it's not really discoverable, or is it?
I share all my information through all the platforms. And a funny thing too is I'll jump over to another platform. I use LinkedIn every day.
Okay, so that's one we didn't.
Yeah, so all my videos, all my ideas goes to LinkedIn. But the funny thing is, I'll be fucking straight up honest on this podcast.
Please.
That the demographic on LinkedIn is fucking old.
Yeah.
All old people. And I'll be honest with it. But the coolest thing is that I feel like with this new generation right now that I know social media. I know where it's going. Even with the whole internet neutrality thing, I can adapt to all that. With social media,
I don't think you can. Not the full net neutrality of what could potentially happen. That's the shutting down of websites, blocking websites, like blocking access. Not they get you on they're just trying to get you to pay a little more for if you're using a lot of bandwidth, and if you're going to sites that use a lot of bandwidth. And the next thing you know, it's going to be China up in here, and we're not going to be able to access Twitter because they don't agree, because Verizon doesn't agree with something that's on Twitter's website, and then we're not going to be able to access this and that and this and that. That's the beginning of the end. It's an evolution.
I think so too. But the thing for me is that I've always set myself up with the mindset that okay, I've been homeless before. My dad died. I have no family I talk to, but I'm still the happiest person in the world. So even if this internet thing happens, I know as a person, I can adapt to anything. So if it shuts down, I'll go be a photographer.
There'll be another. There's no shutting down the internet per se. There will be. It'll give birth to something else.
I think so. And the thing is, though, is people look at this as a big negative, scary thing. I look at it as an opportunity to be the first to grow into it.
Old pieces of shit trying to do something they don't understand for their own benefits. But it's not something. Yeah.
I agree. I'm pissed off about it, and I'm worried. But if we have millions of people saying fuck you and don't do it, and they still do it, what power do we really have? I'd rather say, okay, if they're going to switch over to this, how do I adapt to the new ways as fast as I can, rather than saying I'm trying to fight it. If I had a say where they would listen, I would do it. I would say, hey, this is what I think, we shouldn't do it. But from what I've seen, I've had millions of people I've seen on Instagram post on their story saying, call this number to go against it or text it. And
they're just building marketing lists.
Yeah, totally. So you look at this, are what we saying actually making an effective result? Not at all.
I don't know.
Do you think? Let me hear your opinion on it.
I don't think when they're like, hey, sign this petition and all that. I don't think any of that's real.
Yeah.
But I do think we have the ability with the internet to make things happen. An example would be Donald Trump is the president of the United States. And if you don't think that's a result of the internet and some of the people making it happen, that's what that is. He won the presidential election on the internet. He won it through maybe some misinformation. I'm sure there's tons on both sides of misinformation. He won it on marketing towards half racist people that felt like they were about to be empowered and somebody was finally going to do something. And all presidents essentially come out and say things are about to finally change. We're giving the power back to the people, and then nothing ever changes. Well, I think being that he was a regular person in a sense, celebrity, he was known. He was just able to win based on being known and people being kind of angry and a lot of racist people, and he definitely pushed that button. And I think the positive of him being president is it opens the door for regular people to be the next presidents, smart people that previously wouldn't have thought that they could get anywhere without being a lifetime politician.
Sure.
If Donald Trump can be president, Mark Cuban can definitely be president. Mark Zuckerberg could definitely be. Bill Gates could definitely be president, right?
Yeah.
Bill
Based on
Gates. If
network.
Bill Gates ran for president, he could run for president of the world. I mean, you know what I mean? So I think that's the positive of this. And, so I do think we have some control as people in the society. So I definitely think it's important to fight, but I 110% agree with what you're saying of, it's a kind of, it can be a waste of energy or a misuse of energy to be so upset about anything that's happening. It's better to evaluate and figure out your path for sure.
Well, the thing too, for me, I went on a vacation with my mom and my brother last year, and they got into a really big argument over Donald Trump. And I haven't watched the news in about 7 years. I had a friend that was killed in a Craigslist accident, and ever since that...
Craigslist?
Yeah, he went to go get a laptop and he got shot. He had the same last name as me too, great friend. We grew up together in high school, and that was tough. But ever since I watched him on the news and I saw a picture of me with my arm around him at the actual, on the news in the funeral, I was just like, every time I watch the news, it's always negative. It's always someone dying. It's stuff that I understand makes people watch, but...
It's such unbelievable bullshit.
Yeah, it's
the worst bullshit.
I can't watch it anymore. So now I've just set myself up to where, like, okay, if someone's president, if it affects me, I'll learn how to adapt to it. I know that Donald Trump's making changes to taxes. Okay, I'll adapt to it. I'll figure it out. Okay, internet neutrality is happening. How can I adapt to it? If I have a say in something, I will do it for sure. But like I said, I don't know.
You do have a say, though. You have a following. I'm just saying. You have a following. You have people who listen to you and people who you influence, and you shouldn't discount that because you definitely do have. You have more of a voice than most people because of your following. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I always try to look at, like I said, the positive mindset. Whatever happens in life, just learn how to apply that. That can be your foundation to family, friends, relationships, internet stuff, whatever it is.
For sure.
I think it sets you up for a good path. But if you do have a say, I would definitely stand up and say something. Yeah. But right now, I'm just kind of like, well, I actually don't know enough about it to really stand for it. I just know that it's happening, and I've seen it everywhere online. Yeah. And that I just have to kind of brace for it. Yeah. Yeah. The whole front page of Reddit. Yeah. Every post. I saw it trending on YouTube today. Yeah.
But it should be. It's important. What do you think of? Are you involved in this Bitcoin craze or what?
No. So it's funny because I was working at a dealership, and they were the first ones to accept Bitcoin to buy Lambos.
Holy moly. Yeah. So do you know how many transactions were coming? Like, how many Lambos do you think they sold with Bitcoin?
I don't know. I'd say like 5 or 6.
The first 5 or 6?
When they first started doing it, yeah.
And you're talking about $250,000 to $400,000 car, right?
This was 2013, 2014, I think.
Yeah.
I never looked into it. I never invested. I've never done stocks before. But as of the last 6 months, that's all I see.
That's a lot of Bitcoin for them to be hodling.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know much about it. I never stepped into it. I've always wanted to, but I've never had the time to really educate myself on it and actually go for it, Yeah. I've always had 10 or 15 different things going on my own. I'm like, can't even think about anything else.
What would be cool is if this online community, I mean, it's kind of, your online community is part of kind of there's a network essentially of online communities. Mm-hmm. And it'd be interesting if a cryptocurrency could spawn off of whether it be in the car community or if that, United Car Nation, anything. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? But I think there's always room for additions.
Sure. I don't see why not. I'm just curious to know what'll happen next.
Yeah.
As far as like this whole internet thing and the dealerships and just in general, because I see so much happening right now with this, like going back to this LinkedIn thing about how this older generation's on that platform. I always see it as an opportunity because a lot of those guys need help with social media, and you have 2 different groups. You have the guys that don't believe in it, and then you have the guys that are willing to try it. And the guys who are willing to try it, I want to be in front of those people because I can show them how we do it, and I can make money off of that and give them value as well. But I noticed like my content from LinkedIn is so much different from my content on Snapchat. My Snapchat content's different from my Instagram content. So I cater to those databases, and I think that's something a lot of people misinterpret is that you can just press like, I hate this. I hate it when I work with someone and they say, oh, my Instagram pictures feed to my LinkedIn and my Facebook and I'm like, do you even realize what that does? When you go to Twitter and you see their account, it's just a link to Instagram. I'm like, is that really effective?
Right.
So I see that stuff and it bugs me, but I think that I cater heavily to all my platforms.
What do you think the biggest mistake the car dealers specifically are making? What do you see? Because you've worked with now a ton of them. People who are willing and open and people who are not.
I think that they're missing out on multiple things. I wish that more dealerships would focus on content creation. Like if every dealership had a vlog, they would sell 10 times more cars. I would watch every vlog from a Lamborghini dealership on someone buying a car, someone doing financing, someone servicing a Lamborghini oil change. I mean, there's so much opportunity.
When you bring that up, because there's a Lamborghini dealer, I think, that there's a lady, and she has a video that I always see on my page about how you deliver a car. Like, what's the dealer? You say, we need to do a vlog at this Lamborghini dealer. Their response, is it privacy? Is it no, just it's dumb?
Generation.
What do they, like, do they think it's going to be a privacy issue for the customer? Is that?
Yeah, I think that they always look at the most negative thing first.
Right, okay.
Right away, like, oh shit, we can't, it's privacy. Well, what if you look at the positives?
You're going to attract different clients that have no problem with that, 100%. Right?
Yeah, and I think that now, like, you look at people who are, you know, I live in Irvine, and 90% of the kids that live there get $100 to $400 grand a month as just a fun money thing. So I see people driving McLarens and Lambos, and they're 19 years old going to school at UC Irvine. My goal, if I were to work at a dealership, is to get the product in front of those people, saying we have a dope ass orange McLaren priced at $300 grand. Hit us up, send us a DM. I got you on a lease quote, something like that. And then I do that every day and make videos. The next thing you know, your database on YouTube is your buying database, not just entertainment. You can make money through your monetization. You can sign deals with different tire companies. You can sign deals with a wax company to put their wax in your dealership. I mean,
you essentially become a West Coast Customs, but you're selling, you know, cars instead of building cars.
And I wish, like, I made a post on Instagram saying, tag your friends who should be a vlogger. Tag your friends who own a business to be a vlogger, because I know, like, there's one person or one company, Underground Racing. They make twin turbos,
right?
Lambos.
Texas.
Yep. If they made vlogs, I'd watch
every
day. Every day. If they had like a setup of like, this is a customer, don't have to show his face. He brought in a Huracan. He wants to do a stage 4 kit at 2,200 horsepower. Here's the build. Then the mechanic saying, this is how we do it. Here's a turbo. Here's the parts. Shiny turbos and showing that shit. And then next thing you know, you have like 500,000 people watching a guy doing a full build all the way to a delivery and customer's first reaction. And it doesn't cost you anything to do that besides what I just think.
No, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
So seeing stuff like that is what I want to see. I want to see that.
Galpin's doing it a little bit, right? RDB's doing it.
Yeah.
There's Real Street Performance out of Florida that I think does a lot of videos. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. When everybody's doing it, it's just going to be one of those things where everybody's doing it. And same with vlogging.
This is the thing, though, is that when I quit my job, I started approaching dealerships, and every person I talked to was 50 years old plus. And this is just a fact. This is not judgment. This is
age
fact.
This isn't age bias.
This is a thing that I've seen everywhere, is that everybody that runs a dealership is older. So they want to do phone book ads, and they want to do Yelp ads, which is okay. It may work for some of your customers. Yeah.
They don't even have phone books
I went to a
anymore.
Porsche dealership, and they're doing radio ads. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So I think the problem I run into is just that so many people don't believe in it, and they don't see it happening yet, and they're being left behind.
They're stuck in their ways.
Yeah, and they're still doing, you know, all this
and
money
that's what opens the world to the new, you know, it's the concrete breaking and the new seed or whatever.
Yeah.
Coming through. Time. Yeah, it's the opportunity, because, you know, if these older people are so smart and in tune, it wouldn't leave much opportunity for us inexperienced younger people. So, you know, it works out that we have an advantage on them in this world.
Yeah, and coming to a conclusion to that is that I realized that if you can't find a job, you can create one, because of what?
Definitely.
Like,
I think it's easier. For me, it'd be easier to create a job for myself than to ever get a job.
I understand that. And that's why, like,
that's what led me to create a job for myself, was I thought I was unemployable. So I said, I have to work for myself so I can determine my own pay, my own hours, and what I'm doing.
Though. That's a smart move. And that's what I wanted to do. Is I was just sick of people saying, like, I don't believe in social media. I don't believe in this. I just started finding the right clients to go after. And then same with YouTube. If I could just film cool stuff all day, you can make money off that. And it's your own career, your own life.
Can I ask you, as far as YouTube goes, we don't have to talk exact numbers, but how does income look from ads? I'm sure a lot of people wonder, some people have ads on their videos or they're making, and some people don't and whatnot. You get a video that gets 500,000 views. What kind of range of money based on category from your
I'm
experience?
more than happy to be open with it. I had a video that
Nobody really talks about that. You find those fake sites that just give you guesses.
No, I'll give you numbers. So I had a video that I recorded that said, what does a $6,000 exhaust sound like? My IP exhaust on my car. It hit 1.3 million views. I made almost $5,000 off that.
Okay, that's
around
huge.
There. Yeah. So, and the thing is too, is from that video, I had endorsements. So I had companies that wanted to be in the video and they paid me on the side too. So they said, we want our shop there. We want our ad on your website. We want to have a link in your bio and you have to do an Instagram post.
I mean, here's the thing. As a company, they say, I have this exhaust that retails for $6,000. I give it to you for free. Mm-hmm. You make a video with it. I'm going to get over 1 million views. You're going to make $5,000 for your one video. Mm-hmm. As a business, I still owe you money for the rest of those 1 million views. Yeah. That's a good deal for that business.
And this is the thing too, is that I have a few things that I'm doing right now where I'm working with a few shops and some of the people that I go after, I feel bad for it, but I feel like I can bring so much value to somebody and they still want to charge me retail for what I'm asking for. So if I want to do a rebuild on my motor, or I want to do a custom exhaust, or I want to do a roll cage, they're like, oh yeah, it's still $2,500. And I'm like,
well, they're not valuing what you're doing at all at that point.
The future.
They're valuing it at $0.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I almost get mad because I'm like, I feel like I'm cocky, but I feel like, do you realize what I'm doing for you? I'm putting your name in front of potentially millions of people that will buy what you're selling.
Right.
So
you have to go to the people who do realize it, I guess, right? Not teach the people who don't want to be taught. No.
They should even offer a discount too.
Yeah. Of course. And I mean,
Berke gang.
that's what I do now is with a lot of clients that I work with that want to sponsor my car or want to sponsor whatever. I always say that I need a full discount or for free sponsorship and I need an affiliate link because that'll justify my work. So it's not where I'm saying I need you to pay me money. It's saying I'll bring you clients that will buy stuff, but I want to be rewarded for it. And that's normal. That's what people should be. They should get rewarded for their work. Mm-hmm. So that's what I believe in, is making it fair. And then sure enough, companies are like, holy shit, you sold 10 grand worth of shit last week just from a YouTube video. I'm like, yeah, that's what I can do.
Right.
I just wish everyone would see that. That way I'd have, I want to modify my car more, but getting the parts, it's just people don't understand it yet. Mm-hmm. And the people that do, it's fun to work with them, like IPE and the wheels on my car and all that stuff. They get influencer marketing. Mm-hmm. It's just, I really like this word. I'm a pioneer right now of doing social media influence marketing. I've seen it from the beginning.
Yeah.
I saw Instagram the first day it came out on iPhone. I've seen it from the beginning, and it's evolved into such a big thing now that it's such a powerful tool that honestly, percentage-wise, I think only 10% of the world gets it right now, if not less. I want to see it at 90 though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when it'll be at 90, the world won't get the next thing. There'll be something else that's only at 5% or 2%.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always the next thing.
Well, people thought the internet was just a phase. They just thought it was whatever. My brother told me that. They just said they didn't think it would work. And
I was
the normal.
I remember I was 15 and I had bought something from eBay for 16. I was 16. I bought something from eBay for that Honda Civic Si. I bought gauge clusters. And at the time, if you search for aftermarket stuff on there, basically you could get aftermarket gauge clusters, you could get a cold air intake, and like a muffler. That was basically the variety on eBay.
How crazy was that for you?
There was like nothing on there. It was like 16 items.
But how was it for you in general saying I'm buying stuff online?
Oh, well, so that's the thing. World? So it didn't faze me at all. Oh, okay. It just never fazed me. Now, I had my father's from Israel, and he felt completely different at the time. So anyway, what happened was I bought a gauge cluster, and it turned out to be. And my dad told me, "You're gonna lose your money. You're wasting your money." And I was like, "Whatever."
I'm the same way too.
Easy come, easy go. I was only 16, So anyway, working at Publix, supermarket. So anyway, I ordered the gauge clusters. What I got was they had printed out gauge clusters with like a custom, like a little symbol printed out, and they told me to cut them out and put them over my gauge clusters, and that would be my new gauge cluster. I completely felt ripped off.
God.
And you know, at first I kind of felt ripped off, and then like within the same day, it kind of occurred to me. I was like, oh, I could do this. This seems easy. So like I started selling stuff on eBay back then, and you know, it was just always something I remember was my dad telling me, you're going to lose your money. Like, you can't send money out online, like that sort of thing. You can't send and receive money. And like, you know, within months, like I was getting envelopes with checks, money orders, and cash. Because like PayPal at the time was super small. eBay had its own payment processing system at the time before they bought PayPal. So like people were basically paying in money order because they didn't even want to put a credit card in the computer.
Yeah.
So like just stacks of checks. So anyway, that was like seeing,
awesome.
you know, but at the time I wasn't like, oh, this is going to catch on. It was just like, well, this is here now, you know, this is here now. And this is my way into business, because what's the other way into business at 16? It's not really something, you know, you could forge it online, but what can you do in person? You're a child. Nobody's going to do much with you.
Well, you saw the opportunity.
Other than mow lawns and whatnot.
Yeah.
So anyway.
That's awesome. That's cool to see it, though, from the beginning.
Sort of the beginning. But then I look at people who were buying domains in 1996, and I'm like, damn, those people were smart. Like, oh, man.
Make a lot of money off that stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought some domains and I'm holding on to right now, and I think they'll sell for big money in a few years. But I did the same thing. I bought some big name ones that were like $1,000 a piece, and I knew it would sell for more. And same with license plates, too. I bought a few that are like, I think will do really well.
Yeah? What license plate? Name one.
I haven't told anyone yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a surprise. Yeah.
All right, cool.
It'll be on my M3 soon.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
You're going to sell it?
Are you going to retire your other one?
I'll hang it on the wall. I have an extra one.
Got it.
Yeah.
You can always reactivate it if you want. Cool.
Maybe go on my Lambo.
That would be cool. That would be real cool.
That's the idea, yeah. Yeah, so we'll see.
Cool. So, what would you like to ask a question to people who watch this video, you know, and they can comment in the comments. What would you want to ask the audience, anybody who's watched this video, possibly marketing related, anything related?
I think if you strip back all the bullshit negativity online, you strip back all the problems in your life, you look at life as just a human, not this like thing of wearing fancy clothes or having nice cars or being popular online. When you take all that back, when you look at yourself, what do you see? I think if you can ask yourself, what do you see besides all that? I'd like to know what people think. Because for me, I see like a lot of positivity. I see a lot of good energy.
What's your perspective? What do you see when you look within and look around?
The thing for me is I've always been a very deep thinker. I always think a lot. I'm really fascinated by like space and humans in general, because I have that mindset like, okay, if I lose my job and I crash my car and all my family dies, I have to find a way to get through that. So how do I find the quickest way to be positive, saying I enjoyed that time with them? What do I do now? The fastest way I can get to that will benefit the rest of my life.
Brings you into the present, and also it's like an emotional fitness for yourself.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's tough. But I think that if you can look back and see the perspective of being just a human, how good we have it. Because a lot of people dwell on the dumbest
especially
shit.
A human in the United States.
Oh my God, dude. So much opportunity, so much freedom. And
You could be in the desert.
Yeah.
Like nothing. There's nothing around. There wasn't when you were a child, and there won't be when you're 60 years old if you make it that long.
You could have been born like a cactus or some stupid shit, you know? It's like you're a human, man.
I might have been a cactus at one point. But yeah, being a human alone is pretty good. But being a human in the United States, I mean, especially in this era, you figure if this was 1975, I don't know if we'd be talking about all this entrepreneurial spirit.
I think so.
Probably, you know, it's that more that get a good career at a big company, spend your life working your way up, and at the end you'll have a house and kids. And you know, now that definitely doesn't work. It's not only just not something that maybe is ideal to some, it literally doesn't work. Companies come and go, companies change. You're not going to have the same security. There's interrupters, and you know.
Where's your stability with those jobs? Because you look at a lot of those guys right now who have big companies, and if they're not following modern marketing, they'll be out of business in 5 to 10 years. So where's your stability if you work for that your whole life?
Right.
What's your opinion about school right now for kids who are going to school?
School. So let me just tell you, I guess, how it ended up working out for me in school. I was always a B/A student. My sister was always an A student. So it always kind of made me feel like I wasn't necessarily the best student, because it was kind of hard, and it was B's and A's, not just A's. You know what I mean? So I never really cared much for it. I didn't want to put any effort into it. Was that what it was? Whatever. At high school, I had no interest in going to college. I just didn't care at all. Went to college because my parents would have killed me if I didn't go to college. They literally would have killed me.
Yeah.
And I also felt like, they made sacrifices throughout the time I was growing up. And for me to not just go to college, just 4 years, for them seemed kind of selling them short. So I went to college. I barely went to class. Literally barely went to class. I think I found my way around, to say it nicely, just about everything. Mm-hmm. What I got out of college was I ended up meeting somebody that ended up being a business partner of mine for years after. And through him, I met other people and so on. Mm-hmm. That experience benefited me significantly. Being away from my family and having a transitionary period for 4 years where I wasn't quite in the real world, but I was in the real world enough to spread my arms or whatever.
Yeah.
Was really beneficial for me, and it worked out.
So it wasn't so much academic. It was more so just the experience itself.
Right. Now, however, it wasn't really academic. It truly wasn't. It was more than networking. And,
networking for
sure. And I barely networked. For people who are in fraternities and sororities, for people who are friendly and make friends, I think it's a great place to get into it. Now, with that said, it's not worth getting into $40 or $50 or $100 or $150,000 in debt. Also, it's not going to give you a job or a career for the rest of your life. It's going to give you a taste of different industries and let you study in one. Mm-hmm. You still have to be able to apply it. You still have to be good. You still have to compete in the job market. You still have to compete. Like it's not a hand-me-down. So if you think I'm just going to go there and then come out and I'll be set, you're not going to be set. It's going to be what you make of it.
Yeah.
And I think what happens, a lot of people come out, they can't find a job. It's like a squirrel sticking its head out. It's like, what the fuck's going on? Yeah. And then they go right back into school. Yeah. They're like, I got to get back in there. Because fuck that, what's out there is like, I don't know what's going on with it. Let me get back over here. This is safe. Zone. And they just keep going to school. And like, I think, but then, they say like some master's programs don't let you in until you have real world experience after you graduate. And like, so anyway, my point is, I think it's a waste of money. I think it's way too much money. I think it's overinflated because of the loans, and it's something that should cost $20,000 that costs $120,000 or $150,000. I wouldn't get into that debt for anything. I would never want to be that sort of slave to debt unless you specifically want to be a doctor or a lawyer, something that's very specific to needing that formal education.
Yeah,
I think it's behind. School's behind. I think it's going to change. And I think if anybody opens their eyes, they can learn 1,000 times more right now on YouTube than the entire time they'll be in school.
100%.
So
I agree with that.
I wouldn't say everybody should stop going to school, but sort of saying that.
I think for me, when I was in high school, I had freshman credits till I was a senior. I failed all my classes till I was a senior. And I used like a charter school to help me get a little bit ahead, but I couldn't do it because I would look at a book and I couldn't absorb it. I just couldn't read. I couldn't get into it. So the thing I got from high school is, I met someone who I fell in love with. I met my best friend. I met so many good people that I networked with that I'm thankful for, that has taught me what I wanted to be and what I didn't want to be. Mm-hmm. So the overall experience for me in school was fun. I never stepped a day in college, so I don't know what college was like, but I think that, like what you were saying, it's suited for the people who need to have that textbook time to study how to do open heart surgery, to know how to go into a law case and understand it. Right. But when it comes to modern day, what's happening now,
it's super irrelevant. Really, like if you want to know marketing and you go to college for marketing, you're completely wasting your time.
You'll be in 1999 marketing.
Completely wasting your time.
I agree.
Completely.
I agree with the whole YouTube thing too, because I've learned 80% of what I know on YouTube. I just search everything. I didn't know how to tie a tie, so I was at prom one night. I was on my phone. All right, I know how to tie it now. Legitimately.
Last minute thinker there.
Yeah, I had to. So it helps, and there's so much information. It said it was 40 hours of footage is uploaded every 1 minute to YouTube.
Wow.
Every day, 365.
Yeah.
There's so much out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the phone really kicked that one into high gear with the cameras everywhere.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Thank
this was
you.
fun.
Let's do this again sometime soon.
That was awesome, man. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Of course. Anytime.
This was fun.
All right. So where can everybody follow you?
Follow me on Instagram at ThatPhotographer. I have a YouTube channel. It's just Spencer Berke. And then if you want to find most of my stuff, it's all on my Instagram. I have my website link there, my Snapchat, everything's on there.
For those that want to get into learn social media marketing to your new website on Devoted Society, right now, maybe they could go to your Facebook group?
Yeah, so we have 500 people that are signed up right now on the Facebook group, where every day they can post about how do I get more followers, or how do I approach a business to be their photographer, or, you know, hey, how do I do my taxes? I have all the information there where I actually respond to everybody, but that group right now is just momentum for the actual website. So when people say like, you know, how do I get followers? I'll answer them, but on my website, it'll actually go into saying, these are the 5 steps you have to do, and do this every day for a year and watch what will happen. Nice. So those kind of details are going to be on the website, where it's like full blown, all video format, new
Execution.
stuff. Exactly. It'll show it every day will be new stuff on there.
So everybody go over to that Facebook group. Go ahead and get in there. We'll be giving away these banners. We'll be giving away these banners to some of the first signups on the website in December, but we'll also give away these 5 to some random comments below. So comment below, and
that works for me.
Camera.
Yeah, we'll give those away. If you guys see on my Instagram, you've always seen this photo.
So it's behind your desk, right?
And it's like a 7-foot poster, but that'll be cool. I think that just puts you in a cool perspective.
Cool.
I'm excited for this, man. Thanks for having me. This was so cool.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming.
I definitely see good potential on it growing too.
We'll do it again soon.
I'll be back for sure again.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys.